After attending a number of webinars, reading between the lines, doing a little bit of research on my own, let me share with you at least my interpretation of the data on the state of the self-storage industry, April 2020, in the age of Corona. My name is Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. I support the small investor who wants to get in the self-storage business or who wants to grow their self-storage business, strategically do so in a way that creates true wealth and a fulfilling career. And let's kind of look at an overview. So regardless of how you feel about it, the federal government and the state governments have taken a lot of action since February, March, primarily the stay-in-place orders. And the goal behind the actions that they took was designed primarily to lessen the impact that the medical facilities would have with people infected with COVID-19. And to a large degree, they were successful. But the actions that created the success where the medical facilities were not overloaded also created an immediate downward spiral in the economy. What it appears like is what's needed to cause an effective recovery would be some political will, which is something that seems in very short order in Washington right now. And from what I've been able to piece together, the shape and the speed of the recovery to a large degree is going to be a function of when a vaccine is out. Now, best guess, earliest estimates are it could be out as soon as fourth quarter 2020. Once the vaccine's in place, the game has changed. Until then, the economy's not going to fully come back. The last 10 to 20% of the economy, the tourism industry, the hotel industry, the airline industry, all of those industries, which small side could be 10%, large side 20% of our economy, is not going to be fully back engaged until that vaccine is in place. Office buildings, concerts, places where there's large public gatherings, those are going to be the absolute last to come back. So now let's zero in on self-storage inside that little bit larger context. From what I can see, climate control self-storage street rates in April nationally, according to Yardi, dropped about 6%. Now, again, somewhat of a meaningless statistic because self-storage is such a sub-market product. And that number is primarily driven by the dynamic pricing of some of the larger institutional players in the space. But on average, it appears that the climate control street rate dropped about 6%, non-climate street rate dropped about 2.6%. And usually what's right behind a drop in street rates is a drop in occupancy. Now, I could find no definitive information on how projects in lease-up did in April. Our experience is it was real slow. But that might be more of a function of the submarkets we're in and the demographics of those submarkets than any national trend. I just can't find any data on that at the moment. What also became evident as I did my research is that the top tier markets, the larger markets, the Chicagos, Houstons, Atlantas, those top tiers, the street rate dropped dramatically more than the second tier, or what Yardi calls the second 40, the next 40 markets outside the top 30. Those were impacted less economically than the storage facilities were in the larger markets, which just validates what we've been saying, is that a lot of the opportunities for the smaller investors appear to be in the secondary tier 2 markets, or outside in the same MSA as the large markets, but outside the outer beltways, for example, or the next county over from the larger markets. They fared better in April than the facilities in the larger markets did, and that makes sense given that's where we think the opportunities are right now. The good news is, in April, quote, planned projects for future self-storage were down by 40%. So maybe it looks like we've hit the peak and we're going to start seeing a slowdown of new space coming on the market. Could be a good byproduct for the industry of this particular age of Corona. The bad news is marketing costs have gone way up in April. The larger players are putting a lot of money right now in particularly Google keyword advertising. So marketing expenses are up. Now, take in mind, this is just a snapshot, not a movie. It's a snapshot of some data I could find for our industry in the month of April. What we're noticing in our portfolio is that some projects are doing real good, even better than pre-COVID, and some of our facilities have lost occupancy. I'm looking for the rhyme, and we'll figure out the rhyme or reason to it soon. Now, as a general rule, I don't think it's a good time to start a ground-up project at this moment in time where you're going to be 2 to 3 years before you're hit break even. I think that's going to slow down. We're adding in our lease-up calculations a slower lease-up and seeing if the expansion or conversion projects still work. But I still am bullish on the product, and I think it's a good time to look for opportunities, especially expansions and conversions, because so much money's sitting on the sidelines. And when people are sidelining themselves and are not buying, in my world, that's the time to buy. Now, as we move into the economic recovery and the stay-in-place orders are being lifted, albeit slowly, but being lifted, I think the recovery is going to be slow and choppy, and it's going to affect different markets in different parts of the country differently. How it's going to affect self-storage in your sub-market or any given sub-market is going to be a function to a large degree of the supply-demand in that sub-market. But understand, storage is a very resilient product. Even in the facilities where our occupancy is going down, it's not going down by leaps and bounds. We're talking single-digit reductions. So storage tends to be a very resilient product in an economic downturn or in a slow recovery. Good asset class to be in. If you're raising capital for some self-storage projects, you've got a great story to be telling right now. So we'll see what May holds for our industry, and it's literally a month-by-month process now, analyzing and trying to interpret data so we can make decisions. And I'll share with you whatever data I find, but that was my quick snapshot of April in the self-storage industry in the age of Corona. What we're primarily doing differently is we're putting a lot more of our time, energy, and resources into the marketing right now. So thank you very much. I look forward to being with you again soon. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer, the financial analysis modeling tool we use when we're looking at self-storage projects. You can find out more about it at storageworldanalyzer.com or Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and hit the Storage World Analyzer tab. Thank you, and I look forward to being with you again soon.